Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting edition of The Game Changer. I'm indeed your host, Nate the Effing Great, and I'm being joined here by the one, the only, the fantastic, the incomparable, the one and only Miss Victory Bell. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing absolutely amazing. And honestly, guys, there's a reason behind that, and I'm just going to get that right out of the way right now. I mentioned that this is going to be a very special podcast, and there's a reason behind it. I mentioned this on Twitter, that I have a big announcement to make as far as future shows. Mainly, it's regarding August, because August has been a very special time for me when it comes to a lot of great things that are going on. That's where I started really watching wrestling. I'll be celebrating 14 years in August. Also, ironically enough, that is also the 1-year anniversary of which the Game Changer came to be. So in honor of that, guys, we are expanding on the Game Changer. What that means is that your guys are going to get more content, some new, some familiar with. We're going to get some new acquisitions on here, new faces that you guys may have heard of, or maybe you're not too familiar with, but it's going to be absolutely amazing, and this is all going to be happening on August, and the first person that will be a part of the Game Changer will be announced on August 3rd when I will be going to the ACW show here in Wisconsin. Definitely do not miss out on that. But before we get to that, we still got Money in the Bank in just a couple weeks. Going to talk more about that again later on in the show. But let's get on to why we are here. We decided to bring back a little bit of a new thing that we've done this year, and that's a segment called Bet You Never Seen This Movie. But we're going to add a little bit of a parentheses at the end, say like, and if you have, that's okay. And we're going to be going from 2000 to 2009, because last time we did 2010 to 2018. As I mentioned before the podcast even started, I just noticed that from 2000 to 2009, I've seen a lot more movies than anything. I think I had like 20 plus movies I could list on top of that, but I had to reduce it down to, of course, 5, which was not easy at all. There was a lot of good stuff. I mean, you had Jeepers Creepers that came out, Saw series started, the Pirates of the Caribbean came out during this decade. So much that happened during this, and there's obviously a lot of movies to talk about. We're going to talk about at least 10 of them, and if we have a little bit of time, talk about a couple others. But you know what? Let's just get on to the 5s that each of us has, and I think it's only fair that we start with the Disney girl herself, that being you, Victory Bell. What is the first movie that you think possibly people have seen or have not seen in this decade?
I guess I'll start with, like we said, we're starting at 2000s. I'm going to start with my oldest movie on my list, and that would be the Studio Ghibli movie called Spirited Away. This is one of those animated movies that really kind of gave Studio Ghibli its big known name. I'm almost for sure it's won a few Oscars. I remember watching the Oscars and seeing this, and I was like, whoa, an anime is up for an Oscar? What? And I ended up watching the movie, and it's literally, Spirited Away is the Japanese way of saying a child gets taken by, like, a spirit. And so this movie focuses around a young girl who goes into the spirit realm and is trying to get back and trying to save her parents because they were turned into pigs. And she makes... I know, it's really, it's funny. But not, because she's very upset about that. But yeah, so she's trying to trick a few witches that are big controllers of this spirit world into getting her back, and somebody who helps her is this other young boy who actually turns out to be a water demon dragon, and she's not for sure if he's actually her friend or not, or if she's ever going to get home and back to Japan from the spirit world. So it was really good. I wish I could. It doesn't really tell me right here if it won any awards. Maybe if I go on IMDb. But yeah, it's one of those timeless classics. I think if anyone likes Studio Ghibli films, like My Neighbor Totoro, the delivery service one, like, you'll love Spirited Away. If you love anime, you'll appreciate the different type of animation that's in this. And it was just really good. It made a lot of money for, you know, an animation film, and being mentioned at the Academy Awards and everything is always something really good for them.
Was it like a movie that was under the like foreign film genre, or was that just under like animated?
It would be under animation.
Okay. Huh.
I think. But yeah, I do remember it being mentioned at the Academy Awards, but I don't see that it won anything.
Huh. All right. You would think that's something
Hasn't
from.
won.
You would think that's something from that kind of. You mentioned it was Japanese, right? Or did they translate it down to English?
Translated it, yeah.
Okay.
You get English dub.
Okay. So it was like the ones that were yeah. The theater that I was working at, it had those kind of deals where they had those kind of like Japanese type movies that were dubbed into English. So
Yeah, so I guess it did when it won in 2003, even though it came out in 2001, but probably because it didn't come over here until that time.
Oh, okay. That actually does make sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, best animated feature for the 2003 Oscars.
You know, before I get into mine, isn't it weird how it seems like when the farther years go back, the less movies seem to be coming out? I mean, like, I think it's like in 2003 or 2004 where it just blew up with like a bunch of movies. But then when you look back to I think it was early as 2000s, I noticed like, wow, there's not that many movies that came out that year.
Yeah, I know. But and I said Spirited Away be out of my like top Studio Ghibli films because there's so many good Studio Ghibli films that came out in this section. But I don't want to mention all of I don't want to like pick all of them.
Right.
But I'd have to throw this out there because this is actually my favorite. Is Howl's Moving Castle, came out in 2004, but I picked Spirited Away because I don't think I've talked about this yet.
Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, that's a really good pick. And honestly, when you said Spirited Away, I'm thinking to myself, isn't that a movie that I probably heard of at least? Because I definitely have not seen it. But then as soon as you mentioned it, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's because I thought it was the animated one about the horse, but no, that's a different movie.
Yeah, I don't know that one about a horse.
Oh man, I can't remember I can't remember it. It was an animated film that I think was in the mid 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Gosh, I can't even remember, but I think a lot of people just loved it because there's like this one scene where this little kid goes up to the horse and she's like, horsey, and then she's just playing around with it, and then she walks away just like, bye bye horsey. I'm just like, oh gosh, this kid's adorable. What
I remember that.
I just forgot what the title of it was.
That's Spirit.
Oh.
Italian Samurai. If that came out in these years too, holy crap! Why haven't I said that one? Because that is literally like my parents to this day know that I have a DVD of Spirit, and it is one of my favorite animations of all time because I was in love with horses. And yes, that's so funny that you said this one little quote, and I got that. But yes, that's Spirit, Stallion of the Samurai with what's his face, Bryan Adams, like having all of the like music for it. No talking. The horses did not talk. It was all music, and if people were in it, people talked. But yeah, I loved it.
Jeez.
That's fun.
It's amazing how far that comes along. But all right, so I should probably get into one of mine. So this is one that I think a lot of people may not have seen, and maybe it's for good reason, but I feel like one of the actresses that was a part of this had a crucial role as years went on. That being the movie Catch That Kid. Basically talks about a daughter having to break into a high security bank with two of her friends, and they're trying to get the money so that way they have enough to help her father, who is he dealt with some kind of injuries in his past, and he is almost a paraplegic. And like I said, they're breaking into a breaking into a bank, getting the money so that way he can get the procedure done. It's an it actually is a pretty memorable movie. It actually features Kristen Stewart, Corbin Bleu. I'm trying to think of, who was the third one again? It was Max something, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Max Theriot, I believe. I think a lot of people might. Well, I think people, of course, know Kristen Stewart from her from her Twilight and from other random stuff. Corbin Bleu, of course, High School Musical. But Max Theriot, let's see. I'm trying to think here if he's here. See, he was in Nancy Drew. He was in Chloe too. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And he's also in another movie that I have on my list. I'm not going to mention it because I want to save that for when I reach it. But I don't know. I thought The Catch the Kid was actually pretty good. It was kind of one of those movies that I think kind of brought a little more character to Kristen Stewart. I think she did actually a pretty decent job. And if you look back at how she looked then to how she then looked in Twilight, she really doesn't look like she aged that much. She just looked like she just still has the same facial features, the same body type. She just looks the same. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know how she does it. So Kristen Stewart, that's the first positive thing I've had to say about you so far. So please tell the world your secret. Like I said, that's what I got. I don't know. Have you heard of that movie?
I actually, now that I see it, I have heard of it. I don't remember it. I probably had seen it before, but I had to look it up because I'm like, what is this? And no, it seems really interesting. I don't remember it that much, but I do remember like the cover art and everything. I remember seeing that before.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie, but yeah, I think honestly it's kind of one of those few movies where you see a kid actually doing something not out of selfishness, but more of just trying to, help family out, and that's kind of one of those weird things. I think that's a movie we haven't really seen in a while, where a kid's not being selfish; they're actually doing something for their family. And I mean, if somebody else knows of a different movie, I could be wrong. I'm probably definitely wrong, but I couldn't think of anything, else that really stood out kind of like that. So this was back in 2004. Yeah. So gosh, I'd been 14 during that time. Jeez Louise.
Awesome, though.
All right, so what do you got next for us, Victory Bell?
So this is a surprising choice for me, but back in the day, everybody did like to watch the horror films, and I mean, this decade came out with I personally think some of the best and most memorable horror films of our time. And so I don't want to take one of yours if this was part of it. So I decided to more sway to The Ring, but you already kind of mentioned the Saw films. I don't know if you picked any of the Saw films.
I did not.
Okay, well, those were two of actually my all-time favorite horror films. The Ring scared the crap out of me forever. Came out in 2002. I guess that means I was 10. I don't know why I went to see this. It's a PG-13 movie.
Oh my god.
Apparently I'm a badass. But I was so frightened. I was so freaking frightened. I would think that girl was coming out of every freaking TV coming to get me. I was nervous. Anyone made fun of like a movie like 7 Days. They're like, if you watch the movie 7 Days. Like, I hated it. I was even afraid of Scary Movie 3 that made fun of her. Like, she comes out of the TV and her and Brenda fight. Like, it's so funny.
That's right, yeah.
It's ridiculous. But, yeah, The Ring, is literally about this girl who was killed by her mother, I'm pretty sure, in a well, and drowned in a well. And people are mysteriously, like, dying after they see this videotape about her dying. and she comes out of the TV with like water and slime and grossness because she's coming out of a well that was from the TV, and basically murders you, and your face gets all messed up. So it was a really interesting take because they were trying to use like movies to kill other people, and she was using technology to kill and come out of the technology to kill people. So I thought that was a really interesting new take on horror. And I mean, anyone who's anybody, I think, has seen The Ring and Saw as well. Saw was the new psychological horror. I feel like that's never happened until Saw came around, and Saw was like, what if you're an awful person? Situation where you have to choose between the awful person or not. You're like, what the? Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. So Saw was more of like an entertaining film to me. It was gross, but it wasn't scary as much as it was like mind blowing. But The Ring, I had to choose The Ring over Saw just because how many nightmares I think I lived through.
You know, it's kind of funny. One of the movies that I would have probably picked but got eliminated early on was kind of another horror movie slash, I guess, thriller, I guess you could say, and that was When a Stranger Calls. And I remember watching it with my brother and a bunch of our friends. And me and one other friend, we were just so terrified of watching this movie that there was a lot of times where either my brother or one of the friends would just go out of the house and just sneakily go out there, and they would just do like this tap on the window, and we would just jump out of our seat. It was bad. It's one of those things that I think to myself, well, this is why I have a brother, because to give me nightmares. And
yeah. That's really funny. But yeah, I do have to say a lot of good horror movies came out at this time, though. And not like they call it the classic horrors or whatnot, those ones that really aren't scary at all. But these were scary movies, I feel. I feel a lot of people were like, don't bring your kids to this. They will not enjoy this.
Yeah, I do definitely agree. And when it came to the Saw series, I actually think I spent at least 2 days worth of watching the entire series before seeing Jigsaw, which came out last year, I think it was. Yeah, and I just remember watching every single one. I think it was until Saw 3 or 4 that I was still absolutely, as you said, just mind blown at how well they created these movies. But then after that, I just remember thinking, wow, they're falling off the wagon with this now, because you definitely,
whenever you get over 3, I feel like you're like, all right, calm down.
Well, I think it was also the fact that they kind of, when they lost the original Jigsaw guy, I can't remember who the name of the guy.
I know what you're talking about, though, the older guy.
Yeah, I think as soon as they lost him, that's where he lost his touch, because he made those movies. He was one of those guys you definitely believed that he was just saying, hey, I went through death. Now I want people to appreciate their life for what it's worth. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if you don't have that, and if you just have this guy who's just like, yeah, he wanted to appreciate death, I just want to see people die. It's like, you're missing the point of this whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But yeah, what's your number 2 or number 4, however you want to go by it?
Yeah. Next one up is actually a comedy movie that I actually loved, and I remember watching this movie, and then I watched Ghostbusters, and I'm thinking oh, okay, so this is where all these tie-ins. Okay. It's a movie called Be Kind, Rewind, which features Jack Black and Mos Def, but also features Danny Glover as well as Mia Farrow, and a surprise cameo by Sigourney Weaver, which was honestly the best. I loved this movie. Basically, it's 2 guys who own a VHS rental cassette place, and then the next thing you know, Jack Black gets completely magnetized, and he just wrecks all the VHS tapes, and his friend Mos Def is just saying, dude, you're ruining the tapes. You're magnetized. So they just okay, well, there are people that want to rent this movie. What are we going to do? First thing they do is start recording these spin-offs, or quote-unquote, of great movies. And I just remember the first thing they did was, in fact, Ghostbusters, and just seeing Jack Black. Even they showed this even in the trailer. And I thought it was absolutely funny, where Jack Black is just sitting there and they just have this VHS cassette tape in front, and Jack Black's trying to do like the Ghostbusters theme song. He's like, "When you're walking down the street and you see a little ghost, what you gonna do? What about Ghostbusters?" Like, dude, what are you doing? That's the Ghostbusters theme song. No, I'm pretty sure it is. And they just start continuing on doing this with Rush Hour 2 and RoboCop, among others. And it seemed like it was doing really good until, of course, Sigourney Weaver makes her cameo, and she represents like the FBI, and she's basically saying like, you can't be doing these because of the FBI warning signal. I just remember Jack Black just saying like, we don't have to worry about that. We recorded over those. And it's kind of one of those moments where it's like in Infinity War, where Mantis and Drax have that deal where it's just like kick names and take ass. That's right. And there's like awkward moment with Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. where they're just like, are you serious? That's what I felt like as soon as I heard Jack Black just say that line of like, we recorded over that. It's like,
yeah, we're fine.
It's like, what, dude, really? But gosh, it was just absolutely funny how this just kind of built up, and basically in the end they're trying to raise money by making an original movie about their like hometown. But like I said, just absolutely funny. I loved it, and I think it was one of the better Jack Black movies that I've seen him do. And actually, surprisingly enough, it just beat its budget of $20 million. It reached like $30.6 million. So,
wow.
Yeah, shows you how well this kind of, corny kind of movie works out. But it's honestly really funny, so I definitely recommend watching it. Have you ever seen it?
I feel like I have, but I don't necessarily remember.
Maybe you've seen the trailer, and that's where you're kind of like, oh, this is where...
Yeah, because I do remember, like, them remaking movies, and I was like, that was really funny. But yeah, speaking of Jack Black, that's really funny, because this was his era right here. He was in everything, I feel. Like, I looked through, like, his movies, and yeah, every year he had something that was good, too. Like, School of Rock, he had King Kong, he had Tropic Thunder, Shallow Hal, like, a bunch of these, and Tenacious D, like, that's funny because, like, he's not really in that much anymore. I know he was in Jumanji, and he did a good job in Jumanji, but I think the years that we're talking about were really the Jack Black years. So it was good that you picked one of his movies.
Oh, God, I forgot Nacho Libre came out in this era, too.
Yeah, I didn't even say that one because I was saying he was good.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it was great, though. But all right, you want me to go on?
Yes, please, by all means.
Yeah, so I obviously don't think people have not seen this movie, but I was, we're trying to give a good sprinkle of what this decade was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to throw in the good old Notebook. In 2004, the Notebook came out, and this literally was the start of all of the Nicholas Sparks novels turning into movies. And people really love the Notebook, and I mean, I don't really know any others that people are like, oh my god, the other movies are so good too, and they're not. They're really not that great. But the Notebook is a timeless romantic movie that everybody enjoys, and the fact that, in the end, when you figure out that the old couple at the beginning are the people that they're talking about, it was always a big surprise to people. They're like, oh my gosh! Especially with, Alzheimer's being such a big deal. To this day, it's huge. Like, people suffer from that, and I have to always ask myself, like, what would you rather, like, I don't know why I have to ask myself this, but I just feel like it's a one of those saw questions. Would you rather lose your mind or lose your body like your functions of your body. Because, I mean, we have two of these giant diseases that are taking people away from others with ALS and then Alzheimer's. And, like, one, you have your mind, but you're slowly deteriorating your body functions to where you can't even talk or move. And then one where your body is pretty much fine, but you forget who you are altogether. Like, I don't know. I got deep real quick, but it was just something I feel like I would like to say because The Notebook really brings that to light. And I think it had a good message behind it, too. Sadly, I feel like it could have brought Alzheimer's up more than it did, but maybe in 2004 people weren't really thinking of it as much. But, yeah, throw out The Notebook on the movie. You all know what it is.
Yeah, it's a good thing that they didn't have like a behind-the-scenes deal for this movie because I remember hearing a rumor, and now I can confirm this, that Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, they did not like each other on this movie. I think there was even a point where Ryan Gosling wanted to kick Rachel McAdams off the Notebook set, and I'm just literally like, wow. So there's a reason why we don't see more of these two together in movies. But
Yeah.
so that would probably explain why so many people are just like, okay, so you know this scene that they have here where these two are hating each other. Yeah, we're gonna do this scene right now, and that's probably one of those things where that was more genuine than anything. Everything else was obviously just acting, but when they got the chance to just yell at each other or hit each other, I believe that they were just like, yeah, we're just going all at it. We're not gonna just, it's not gonna be one of those things that it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be like a little, or something like that. You definitely saw a lot of the. I remember watching the scene where it was like the final breakup between the two of them before they eventually would meet up again, where Rachel McAdams' character, I just remember her just like hitting and swatting. Ryan Gosling has like this face of like numbness, where it's like he doesn't, where he didn't care. I just look at that. I think now, looking back at that, just like I think that those were probably real hits by Rachel McAdams for everything that Ryan did to her. So
Could be.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Good acting, though. I mean, hey, if you act with your lover and you pretend you're in love, like, that's not really acting. Acting with somebody you hate and you're pretending you're in love, hey. I don't know if they won any Academy Awards for that movie. I kind of don't think so.
Probably not. But you know what? Just for the heck of it, I want to kind of look because I know that was like the most talked about movie during that time. Well, that's the wrong Notebook. I looked at Notebook in 2013, which was a Hungarian film. That's not it. Jeez Louise. Notebook's nope, that's not either. Oh well. Maybe another time. Sorry to disappoint a lot of Notebook fans out there, but oh well. We're gonna just move along to something that's it's another comedy, and actually one that I really absolutely love even still to this day, and it introduced me to probably one of the most funniest but also one of the most controversial characters I'll ever meet in my entire life, and that being I'm trying to remember what his character's name was, but Lewis Black, and that's the movie Accepted, brought in 2006. Basically, this kid tries to get into every single college he can, but he keeps getting rejected, so he has to make up his own college, but then it backfires on him when more people just start coming into this college because they're rejected by them. Funniest thing about this is that one of the main colleges in this movie is Harmon, and they decided to name theirs the South Harmon Institute of Technology. I'll let you figure out what that spells out. I'm pretty sure you can figure out the acronym. So, basically, he has... well, you figured it out right away. But this also features Justin Long. This introduced me also to Jonah Hill, who is kind of like this overreactive kid who just wants to do the right thing, but he also wants to still be there for his friends. It also introduced me to Blake Lively, a.k.a. Mrs. Reynolds, I'm sorry. Yeah, and of course, like I said, it introduced me to Lewis Black, who honest to God, I thought was the funniest character in this entire deal. Because his first scene that he is in, he's basically trying to explain to a kid the difference between need and want. And then he just slowly breaks down to just yelling at this little kid. I'm like, oh my God, who is this man? What is he doing? No, stop this. But then he ends up just having some of the best stuff in the entire movie. Oh my gosh. Everything about this movie really does kind of speak to what a lot of people go through. They want to get into the big colleges, but unfortunately they can't. So that doesn't mean that they can't just try to have fun with others. And obviously, I'm not saying don't go out and make a freaking fake college, but you really just start to kind of embrace who your true friends are, what things are real, what things are fake. It's just an absolutely amazing, funny movie. And I think this is another one of those roles that I loved Justin Long in. He kind of played that kind of a little bit of a maniacal, but also kind of like can't really take him too seriously kind of characters. It just worked out very well. And oh my God, the behind the scenes stuff is really funny because Justin Long and Jonah Hill, they had like a love-hate relationship for each other, where one minute they'll just be like hanging out and having a good time, and the next thing you know, they're just basically hitting each other in the crotch just for the hell of it. And I'm literally just like, wow, I am thankful I do not have friends like this, because I would not survive. And so many people are being like, why are you walking so funny? Hung out with my friend. Got it. It's like, but
That's awesome. That was a funny movie. I liked it.
yeah, honest to God, jeez Louise, oh man, do you remember the guy who made that sculpture that just had like a really long
I don't remember it, but
well, I just routed up again.
I remember the movie, and I remember them just trying to get away with going to this college for basically everybody gets accepted, and it was a good outlook on stuff. It was happy. People made it happen. I liked it, and again, you picked another actor who really had his heyday in this time, which is Justin Long. You really don't see him in anything else anymore. So.
Well, I mean, they killed him off in, the first Jeepers Creepers, so I think after that it was just kind of like, well, actually, no, I stand corrected, because Jeepers Creepers came out before Accepted, so...
Yeah, he really had his heyday in here with, he had a few rom-coms, dodgeball, a bunch of stuff, so this was his time. But after 2009, I have not seen him in, anything else.
I will not lie, that was honestly my favorite part of that entire movie, where the girl just screams out, "Justin, I love you!" And he's like, "I love you," and he just gets hit in the head with the ball, and there's Ben Stiller, "Joni loves Chachi!"
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think I wanted to put that on this list, but I thought to myself, no, that's... You know what? We'll maybe have to make a different conversation about how awesome Dodgeball, A True Underdog Story is.
How awesome all the comedies were of this time. The comedies were killer. And yeah. So my number 4, I put number 4 twice.
Oh, nice.
It's really funny. My list says 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. That's really funny. Okay, so this is supposed to be number 2. I just really like 4.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I decided to go with another Academy Award winner that maybe people haven't seen. So I was like, okay, I am trying to find some that people haven't seen. So in 2008, Slumdog Millionaire came out.
Oh.
Have you seen Slumdog Millionaire?
I've heard of it, but I have not got a chance to see it.
This was a fantastic film. And this was before I was super into kind of like watching the films that come out for the Academy Awards and that were made foreign films, stuff like that. So this is a really almost true to Bollywood style movie that really highlights a bunch of incredible things that happened in India throughout this young boy's life. And it's comparable, and I know I don't want to upset anyone, but it's it's a comparable movie to like a Forrest Gump, that it really goes through the times to hit historic landmarks and historic things that happen. And they use Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to do this, which is such a creative, cool concept. So basically, this boy of 18-year-old, I'm still calling him a boy, he gets on the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he's continuously answering the questions correctly, and he's a slumdog, which in India it means a very poor orphan, basically, of a boy. So the show and the host and everybody are baffled that he's answering these questions right. They don't understand how he's doing it. They think he's cheating, and they're punishing him, and they're basically threatening him. And he's on the show to find his love, the love of his life that he met when he was little, and she keeps getting torn away from him. So kind of just like Forrest Gump with Jenny. But he goes on the show, and every question has a story that you get to see him flash back to when he was a kid and when this happened and how he knows these things. And it's just so interesting and so fun. And one of the greatest, I loved the song Jai Ho. That was one of my favorite songs of 2008 and 2009, especially when the Pussycat Dolls remade it. It was really fun. So I have to say, really love this movie. I think I'm pretty sure it won Best Picture in 2009 or 2008. I'm guessing maybe 2009 because it came out in 2008. But really good movie. I would suggest anyone who enjoys kind of those movies that really take the main character on a journey. Like, this is one of those, and it makes you feel good about people and just remember things. It's really cool. I would suggest it.
Sounds absolutely amazing. I mean, especially if it wins. You said it won an Oscar for Best Picture?
Yeah, I'm almost for sure. Let's see, Academy Award.
Because I feel like we mentioned this probably in one of our Oscar episodes.
Yeah, it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Music, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Sound Editing.
Wow.
So it took away 8.
Very nice.
So when I saw that, I was like, I want to watch this movie. Fair enough, it was really good.
Well, from
Number
something...
2.
I was about to say, from something that's absolutely Oscar-worthy to something that's probably not going to get that many Oscars or be put into any movie-type Hall of Fame. That being a movie that was produced by WWE Films and also distributed by Lionsgate. God, Lionsgate, you were so amazing for a while. What happened to you? That being the movie in 2007 known as The Condemned. Basically talking about how 10 people will fight, 9 will die, people will get to watch, and it's one of those movies that it's one of those few movies I actually remember watching that with my dad, and it's probably the most violent movie I've taken my dad to go see. So this movie features Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vinnie Jones, who actually worked. You've seen that movie?
I think so, yeah. Because I remember the Stone Cold Steve Austin's the bald guy with the mustache, right?
Yeah, that's him. I absolutely loved this movie. There are a lot of people that kind of play it down quite a bit, but I absolutely loved it. I think that the story is very easy to follow. It's 10 people fight, 9 will die, and you're basically trying to figure out, well, who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the one that does make it through? And there's a lot of really good action sequences as well as some funny moments here and there. I just remember one where Stone Cold Steve Austin is just fighting off some guy that's probably 7 foot tall. He knocks him down and he just goes, "Stay down and we're not going to have a problem." The guy slowly just gets up and then Stone Cold just looks up and he says, "We have a big fucking problem." I just absolutely loved that. There's so many other moments that I'm not going to name due to so many of its volatile nature as well as its graphic language, but it's definitely a good movie to watch at least once. I think that Vinnie Jones stands out as this sadistic, twisted guy who just basically says yeah, I like to kill. What of it? And he's just so cocky and arrogant. I loved it. I was just like, man, this guy's amazing. Why have I not seen this guy more in movies? So anytime that I do get a chance to see him in a movie, I'm just like, oh gosh, I remember this guy. Oh, please tell me he's going to be a sadistic dude. Please tell me he's going to be a sadistic dude. If he is, I'm like, yay! I'm totally okay with this. It's kind of like the same thing if I see Negan outside of Walking Dead. It's like, is he going to be the same guy? Yes, he is! Rampant! Yay! Love it! He gets the same charisma. Yes, they were typecasted. Absolutely. And you know what? There's just some things where it's like, I don't care. It's awesome. But yeah, in the end, a lot of people predicted the outcome, which was Stone Cold Steve Austin would go out winning. But they added a little bit more of a story to him than anything. Where, yes, he's fighting for survival, but he's also fighting to get back to somebody who he loves. It's just one of those things where it's actually kind of interesting to see how they do that. And of course, people are going to complain about plot holes and undiscussed stuff, but it's like, it is what it is. It's not the perfect movie. It's not the perfect action movie, but it's enough to make people look at it and be like, okay, this is actually pretty good for that time.
Yeah, it was worth the watch for sure. I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying this movie.
I mean, now if we went to The Condemned 2, which featured Randy Orton, well, you know what, we're going to leave that one alone.
I've never even seen it.
I have not, and from what I've seen from it, it's like, this just, no. Just no. Nothing against Randy Orton, because I know he can RKO me out of nowhere. I mean, I've seen all the videos. I just, no. It's just, this is just not one of his better movies. But, alright, so we are down to the final two of these Bet You Never Seens, and if you have, that's okay. So, what is your number one or number five as you...
It is number one, even though I wrote five again. But, and I only numbered them this way because the year they came out. So I kind of wanted to do a homage to the comedies in general of this time because I loved them. I have 3 comedies that I haven't been able to mention, but I guess I'm going to choose out of all of those. I want to choose Zombieland because it came out in 2009.
Yes!
Yes. It was so good. It was so funny. Like, the rules and what's his face? Freaking Lex Luthor now. What's his face?
Okay. I can only remember Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock, but when it came to his name, I forgot what...
Well, his actual actor name, this was his decade, too. He had The Social Network. That's really where he came out. But I know Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg. There we go. Jesse Eisenberg.
And his name is Columbus in the movie, but whatever.
Yeah. So Jesse Eisenberg is this nerd kind of loser-type kid who is surviving a zombie apocalypse by having specific rules, and he's basically surviving alone, and then along his journey of trying to get to Columbus, Ohio to see if his parents are still alive, he meets Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin. So he doesn't really... They don't really get along too well, but it's just a lot of hilarity with zombies who, usually zombie movies, people are like, oh, I'm scared, and this one, it's more like hilarious. There are a few jump scares, I think, but it's really funny, and one of the most memorable moments, I think, of this whole movie was killing Bill Murray.
Yes! Oh my god, that's amazing.
Of course, the fact that Bill Murray is fine, and it's Bill Murray here in Chicago, we love him. Jesse Eisenberg murders Bill Murray because he thought he was a zombie, and he dies pretty peacefully still. He's like, oh, no, it's totally fine. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. It's totally fine. You killed me. Like, and people are like, oh, my God. And how Woody Harrelson is so upset about it. He's like, I love Bill Murray. But, yeah, that was basically, I really enjoyed all the comedies of this time period. Should I do this now? I know we're running low on time. So I'll just throw them out there. Two that I wanted to choose were The Hangover and Superbad. So both of those great comedies. Thank you. I'm done.
Oh my gosh! And I was hoping you were going to mention Bill Murray because I actually looked at the cast list and I actually did not realize that was only like 5 people. I mean, there were of course all the zombies that probably got like their own section of that entire credit deal, but you know the fact that it was only based around like 4 people, 5 if you include Bill Murray, and honestly, I remember this because I mentioned this a long time ago when we had that discussion. Like, well, who hates to voice act for like an animated deal? And I remember saying Bill Murray. He said that he regrets Garfield, and he says it in this movie because I remember. I think it was Little Rock. She just said, like, "Do you have any regrets in your life?" And he just goes, "Garfield."
Yeah, he does. That is so funny. I remember that. That's great.
God, this was just, oh my God, I love this movie too, and the fact that we're getting a sequel to this movie, even though it's so long overdue, I don't care. And it's like, okay, we're getting the original cast. Sign me up. I want my tickets right now. I will have the whole theater to myself if I have to. This just needs to happen because they tried doing like a spin-off TV series, but it didn't work out so well. I think it mainly had to deal with the fact that it mainly probably had to deal with the fact that it was not the same characters, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But
what's your final pick?
The final pick that I have, it's actually an interesting one, but I like it because you get to see an action hero in a bit of a different limelight. Now, this could be probably compared to the way Jackie Chan was, portrayed in The Spy Next Door, but I absolutely love this movie. It is featuring the one and only badass himself, Vin Diesel, and that is The Pacifier, where basically this Marine just goes and protects a family, and he has to deal with the everyday life of a family. It's just absolutely amazing to see him going from this, rock hard Marine guy to just, softening up, and you definitely see the evolution going on from there, where he's just, completely a hard ass, and then he just slowly starts softening up a bit around the kids and really opening up. It's really actually a pretty good movie, and like I said, I think this featured what was his name? Max Theriot. That's right. But also features, I think, the kid from Catch That Kid.
Yeah.
And it also features.
Where did he go?
Well, he reappeared in The Pacifier. Let's just say that right now.
That's about it.
It also featured Brittany Snow, who I just love seeing her in a lot of movies. Man, her in Prom Night, as well as Cheaper by the Dozen, was actually amazing. It also features Brad Garrick, who had one of the most memorable scenes that I will ever remember, and that being him in a singlet wrestling Vin Diesel because he wanted to prove a point. It's just so funny how Vin Diesel just takes him and just starts twisting him around like a pretzel. And then he even has like a wrestling move that he just calls the pacifier. I fell on the ground laughing at that, thinking this is just absolutely amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Everything that went on during this movie. And actually, fun fact about this is that there was a little infant that was a part of this, and Vin Diesel and him, they were like this. They were tight. They were just inseparable. Vin Diesel was, usually just holding on to the kid, feeding the kid. I remember one behind-the-scenes deal where he's just going, whee! He just looks at the camera and just says, "This is how me and my co-star communicate." It's just like really weird seeing Vin Diesel in this kind of like softer bunny-like environment, but he just somehow fit it so well. I absolutely thought it was amazing. And it's just one of those things where it's like you think Vin Diesel's a badass in, Fast and Furious 8, or whatever it is. Check him out in The Pacifier. He is absolutely amazing in that movie. Of course, I am saying that with a little bit of sarcasm, but still, it's one of those movies that you gotta watch at least once, just to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a great movie. Boom, and we did it.
And the funny thing is that the end of the movie actually features the Sound of Music, which I thought was so funny. But yeah, that's going to be doing it for another edition of Bet You've Never Seen This, and if you have, that's okay. So I think that really hits it home when I just say that's okay.
That's okay. Hopefully.
But all right, let's get into the fun part of the podcast, and that's, of course, the cheap plugs. You know where to find Victory Bell. You know where to find me. But, of course, we do have a couple things that are going to be going on in the next few weeks. So, Victory Bell, what have you got going on? I don't suppose you got something going on today, right?
Oh, yes, definitely today. Weird that you would know this. But Chicago for drinking Rogerton, which is right across from DePaul University, so super close to downtown. If you guys are in the area, tickets are $15. If you guys hit me up on any of my social media, I do have a few free tickets. Maybe I can throw you guys a bone. It's free booze when you get in there. Learn how to drawing me as Domino and my friend Rob as Deadpool. It's going to be really fun. I hope to see people there, and we're just going to have a good time with it. Joke about Deadpool too. Yeah, that's kind of the big thing that is happening today. Other than that, hopefully my comedy troupe will be announced soon, and we're all done with our first episode, so that should be out shortly.
Woo! Very nice. Learn to draw me, myself, and I. That's the title of this entire Chicago Con deal.
I know, I was having trouble, but we got it.
I would just love it if the eye was just Deadpool pointing at himself. That would just be amazing. All right. So, of course, like I mentioned before, guys, in a couple of weeks, we will have a deal in which we will be in Chicago. We will be watching Money in the Bank as well as NXT TakeOver Chicago 2. Already announced for this is a lot of good matches. Definitely do not want to miss out on that. Do not miss out on the chance of possibly seeing us because we're going to be a part of that weekend. It's going to be absolutely fun. And like I said, just hit me up on Twitter. And honestly, I know a couple people that are going to be showing up there. And I already said, you know what? We're getting pictures together. Let's just do it. Let's just meet with some of the people, meet with some of the local people in the wrestling community. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of The Game Changer. For Victory Bell, I have been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you so much for joining us here. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Be sure to like and subscribe over to Victory Bell's Facebook fan page, as well as Bells of Fury, as well as give us a like on our Game Changer page, as well as give me a follow on Twitter. And we will talk to you guys next week for another fun and exciting episode. Bye-bye!